Dear ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, heartfelt welcome on behalf of the organizers of the side event to the 7th session of the Open Working Group on Sustainable Development. The title of our side event is With Foresight, Games and Information and Communication Technologies Towards Sustainable Cities. My name is Miroslav Polzer and I'm the Secretary General of International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches to Global Challenges. And today's event is organized in cooperation with Go Foresight Institute in Ljubljana, Ljubljana Forum on the Future of Cities, and then with the Millennium Project, which is a global future studies network based in Washington, and with the Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich, Professor Dirk Helbing, who is also the scientific director of Future ICT Project Initiative. And we will hear from these co-organizers later through Skype and video messages. And on the panel, I'm joined by Mr. Januar Nugroho, Director of the President's Delivery Unit for Development Monitoring and Oversight of the Republic of Indonesia, Ravi Karkara, Global Expert Advisor on Children and Youth, UN Habitat and UN Millennium Campaign, and Felix Dotz from Communitas Coalition for Sustainable Cities. We will have also Christina Stevens with us, but she had some problems with her flight, so she will arrive a little bit later. The aims of this side event are to contribute to the work of the Open Working Group with conceptual innovations that inspire the work of the Sustainable Development Group's design towards civic engagement and getting young people involved, getting social energy into SDGs and implementation efforts. And in this context, we are going to present games in general and our initiative, Global Challenges World Cup Urban Games, in particular as a means of implementation for sustainable development goals related to the subjects that are discussed at this Open Working Group meeting, which is sustainable cities, sustainable consumption and production, and climate change. And then as a very important tool for multi-stakeholder engagement and shared vision building in multi-level governance, there will be presented Foresight, and we have great expertise here on our panel, but also through our co-organizers. And it's also an important element of these competitions that we are going to present. We will highlight the central role of information and communication technologies in sustainable development goals governance and present in this context our plans for a Global Challenges ICT Research and Technology Development Lab in Klagenfurt, and also somehow showcasing our plans here for potential social impact investors. As I said, here is the list of our speakers. The list also represents somehow our networks, our knowledge base, and that's also one of the reasons of today's side event, to present our network and capabilities. And with this, we will start with the first presentation of Professor Dirk Helbing from the ETH Zurich. Professor Helbing will speak about countering climate change with climate Olympics. As Professor Helbing couldn't be with us, we have pre-recorded the video message, and Professor Helbing will be with us via Skype after showing the video message. And, oh, no, that's the wrong one. Wait a minute. Check. It was this one. So, let's go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dirk Helbing, and I'd like to introduce a new idea how to counter climate change. Sorry for the cold, by the way. Global warming has not protected me from this. Well, recently there has been a lot of talking about global warming and climate change. There are many reasons to be concerned. So, the rise in water levels, for example, will have impacts on many countries, on the United States, many Asian countries, and also European countries. There will also be immediate impacts on a number of cities such as Venice, or New York City, or Singapore. So something needs to be done. Besides that, there will be heavy impacts also on agriculture, and that will force migration. Migration, on the other hand, can cause something that we call climate wars. Conflict could happen in many areas of the world, so something really needs to be done. Our current approach is to come up with new kinds of regulations that would be imposed on every country in the world and on every citizen. We would have to reduce emissions of cars, of planes, and also of fabrication plants. But many people don't really want to hear this. And that's why actually the climate councils have not been very successful in establishing such global regulations. So maybe we should pursue a different kind of approach. As Albert Einstein has pointed out, we cannot solve the problems within the paradigm that has caused the problem. So what if we change from a top-down approach to a bottom-up approach? That means to say goodbye to this idea that regulations would fix it, but go towards a paradigm of empowerment. And in fact, in my own research, I've seen that in many complex systems that are quickly changing and hard to predict, bottom-up self-regulation can actually be more successful than top-down optimization. That's quite surprising. And what would it mean? Well, have a look at this example over here. It's quite surprising how well traffic is organized over here. And it has a simple reason. We have unidirectional traffic flow in this direction, unidirectional traffic flow in that direction, and also a buffer for vehicles in between. So it's a matter of design. If we have the right type of design for the interaction of stakeholders in the system, and here a roundabout traffic would be an example for the organization of traffic flows, then actually there would be good outcomes as a result of self-organization. So that would mean to transfer the success principle of Wikipedia to fighting global climate change by basically empowering and building on the engagement of citizens. So what would that mean in detail? Well, we would have to come up with something like a climate Olympics, I believe. And the agents of change would be the cities, not the countries. We would have every few years a climate Olympics between the cities. They would compete for the best solutions. And we know that competition is actually raising the aspirations and the effort and the success. So that sounds quite promising. The question is, what would be the disciplines in which we would compete? Well, science and technology certainly would be key disciplines in different areas, from windcraft to solar panels, but also architecture. And besides that, it's also important to engage the citizens, and that's also why cities are important. Engage the citizens to use climate-friendly vehicles, or even ride a bike, or to invest into modern energy production such as solar panel technology and insulation. However, besides competition, it's important that we also build on cooperation. So after each climate Olympics, cities would exchange the best solutions and would implement them. And in this way we would make fast progress. So I believe together we can make a contribution to a better world, and if the word spreads, then we can really make a change. So think about this. We could really have a different approach to countering climate change. Thank you very much for your interest.
Try to connect now with Professor Helbing via Skype. Dirk, here he is. Hello, Dirk.
Hello, can you see me?
I can't see you yet. Is your camera switched on? Now you are here. Very good. So thank you for helping us thinking out of the box. And could you perhaps also say a few words about your ICT component, where you think that this kind of competitions could be connected with the work of future ICT projects?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sorry I can't be there in person with you in New York, but I'm happy that I can anyway participate. So there's an echo.
I've muted my mic.
So I've been engaged into the Future ICT project, and that is about using modern information technologies to to tackle 21st century challenges. But I'm happy that I can. Okay, I'll do that.
Yep.
Good. So the Future ICT project is about using future ICT technology in order to address 21st century challenges. And one of the key components is the planetary nervous system that would use the internet and sensor networks in order to get a real-time picture of the world, in particular also about the environment and climate, but about anything, also about the economy and our society. And another key component would be the global participatory platform that would allow the citizens to engage themselves by contributing with data, with computer algorithms, with ratings and reputation systems, and with ideas. And I actually believe that this can very much empower the citizen, but also scientists, to contribute with ideas. It would also collect a lot of useful data that would allow us to come up with better science and technology. And it allows to create the social networks in order to tackle challenges that are too big for small teams, challenges that require really a global effort, global concerted action in order to solve the global issues that we are facing. I'm very happy to answer your questions.
Yes.
I think I should wait actually for your response before I go on.
Would somebody like to pose any question to Professor Helbing? It was very clear. Ravi, would you like to ask something?
Just a very quick question on, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, just a very quick question on the competition where you talk about cities competing with each other. So are there any examples of using ICT with citizens or people's movements in specific cities where you've already kind of pre-tested this idea? And I really think the more we go local to local authorities, I think that's where the real implementation of sustainable development would really happen. So is there any example that you can share with us from your network where this has already started?
I think there are actually a number of initiatives, but they're not that large scale. That means not so visible on a global scale so far. And I think that is one of the other reasons why we really would need to have something like Olympic Games in this area, which everybody would watch on TV. It would be interesting for the media to accompany the project. Now, while scientists and engineers are coming up with these new fascinating technologies, they're so much better than previous ones, and really to zoom into the process and in this way engage also the citizens locally. I think also that we can actually solve the problems and at the same time make money. Just think of soccer world championships or also Formula One championships, which have created hundreds of millions of revenues actually from the competition. So it's also commercially interesting if that becomes a brand. And so I think that creates basically opportunities for everybody, for the public media, for the companies selling this new kind of technology, for the scientists involved, and for the citizens also, because it would have this kind of playful component that you have with the idea of games. And it would take away this feeling that solving climate change is a burden for everybody. Nobody wants to listen to this because people don't want to deal with things that burden them. And so let's turn that into a positive challenge. Now, we like to have competition, we like to have sported games, and we'd like to have winners, and let's use this as the driving forces to be more successful as a complementary strategy to the top-down approach that we are pursuing anyway. But I think we need to have basically an additional way of addressing climate change in order to gain speed in terms of coming up with better technology, but also with more engagement.
Thank you very much, Dirk. It was wonderful having you with us, and we are looking forward to work with you on this sustainability competitions between cities and also in the context of the climate protection debate. Kind regards to Zurich.
Have a good meeting now. Bye-bye.
Okay, and with this we come to my presentation. The topic is presentation of the GLOCHA system, GLOCHA standing for Global Challenges, and the title is With Systemic Thinking, Knowledge, Collaboration and Fun Towards Sustainable Cities. Potential title would be also Let's Play Sustainable Development Goals, and you will hear later what this means. So about my organization, it's a civil society organization based in Austria. It has ECOSOC accreditation, UNDPI accreditation. It's also a member of United Nations Academic Impact Initiatives. We develop science-based new concepts and technological innovations for local level resource mobilization for sustainable development, and we have a strong track record of involvement with the UN system with regard to Rio+20 conference, where I have facilitated the Rio+20 issues cluster on innovation, and we have had a huge youth mobilization activity called Rio+20 Global Youth Music Contest. So about the GLOCHA and this trans-institutional global action network and multi-stakeholder partnership in UN terms, this aims to support the vision, goals and work of United Nations by connecting the UN system and these global goals in innovative ways and on an extremely high and large scale with intellectual and financial resources and action of global citizens and local communities. This is being done through new conceptual framework. Local provision of global public goods will be presented in a few minutes. Then campaigns and competitions, as I said, the Global Youth Music Contest, and the 15-15-15 UN Civil Society Resource Mobilization Partnership, which has been registered as a voluntary commitment of global civil society in Rio, and it says that global civil society is committing to mobilize 15 million people who are ready to take action in support of sustainable development efforts of the UN system, and also 15 billion euros of resources that are going to be coordinated in an innovative way towards such civil society efforts and efforts of cities. And we have, for implementation of this, the concept of Global Challenges Giving Pledge and Global Challenges World Cup. And a key element are information and communication technology developments that we want to pioneer, and that's one of the reasons of today's event. Today's event is a second event of two events through which we participate in the open working group debates, because the open working group discussions on sustainable development goals are extraordinarily important for the future of the UN system, but for the future of the world, as if they are done properly, then this could integrate really the climate change debate, it could integrate the development agenda, and really somehow bring more coherence into the UN system and make it more effective. And here a photo from our event in December. Here are the elements of our systemic innovation approach, which half of it was presented at the December event. You can watch it on UN WebTV, and some elements will be presented today. So first, let's start with systemic thinking. What are we talking about? Where is the problem? Why discussing sustainable development on global level? The reason is that our resource management systems, our resource allocation mechanisms, especially market economy, don't lead us to sustainable resource use, and we are depleting the resources for future generations, and there are issues regarding wealth distribution in the world. And so there's a need for innovative resource management, and this sustainable development goals process now is really a special window of opportunity to transition towards global resource management 2.0, with much more information and communication technology use, and with a systemic integration of public interest and public value into resource management decisions. And everybody can and shall contribute, but the question is how. And now I will present to you the concept of local provision of a global public good, and also why it is important to connect everybody, all the relevant stakeholders who make resource use decisions with global goals through new concepts, new metrics, and also new information systems. And in the next step, incentivizing this resource use towards more public good generation with resource use, and then having mass mobilization and campaigns on this. So if we look at resource use by individuals on local level, it's usually we look at our individual added value. Let's take the example of planting a tree. We compare this individual added value with the costs. If the costs are lower than the individual added value, then we buy it, or we make this use decision. Even if the costs for the public, the black brick here, are bigger than what I have to pay, or the individual and public costs are higher than the utility and the added value that I have, still people buy it. So if the costs are bigger than the added value for an individual, then people tend not to invest in such use. But if we broaden our perspective and look also at the local public added value, then it for society makes sense to invest. And therefore, if we have a functioning local community, city, but also it holds true for national level, then mechanisms are in place that this resource use is being made. If the costs are bigger than the local added value and the individual added value, it's a question whether such investment is being made. If we broaden again the perspective towards the global level and look at the global public added value, let's say of planting a tree, how does it contribute to SDGs, to the development agenda, to climate protection, to Convention of Biological Diversity, peace, and you name it. There are so many global goals that a very simple local action can contribute to. If we get more aware of these green bricks, then we also, as a global community, will be ready to invest also in such resource provision. And one way also how to get more investment into activities and resource allocations that provide global added value is through the fun factor. If we make competitions around this, who is going to provide the highest amount of green bricks, let's say global public added value, then it's much more interesting for individuals and also for local communities, national governments, and also individuals to invest in this kind of public good provision. And that's the basic idea for our competitions, and also in general for global challenges system, GLOCHA system, that we have to provide connect everybody who is a potential provider of these green bricks of global public added value, to combine them with global goals, with sustainable development goals as a central framework for this in the future, and to incentivize them. So we need to find a way to attach globally agreed value to these green bricks, and this is a very big challenge because there is no objective way of doing it. It's somehow a global consensus, as also money is also only a social consensus that it is worth anything. And it's a collaborative learning process. And if we try to approach this in an iterative way through games, then this could be a very promising way. And also storytelling is a very important element. So teaching people first to understand their local action in the global context, and then empower them to tell their story, be it through Global Youth Music Contest or through Wikimedia technologies or whatever, to connect their stories and their efforts with global goals. This is a big challenge, and Christina will talk about this also later. And this has also huge potentials for micro-social entrepreneurship that could really help to address the global youth employment challenge that we are facing, because so many young people have a lot of ideas and knowledge that could be used for providing global public good if we develop the systems, especially the information systems, that make them visible and let it make somehow operational. And to put it short, sustainable development goals need to be on everybody's mobile devices in the future, and we should really think of let us play sustainable development goals. Foresight plays a very central role in this because it can help to bring different stakeholders on local level, on national level, even on global level together to think where are these green bricks, where a certain local partnership for global SDGs could generate value and also benefit from this by innovative global public financing. So global challenges centers are an institutional innovation which should be established in cities around the world for organizing these foresight exercises and also for being the hubs for information and communication technologies, access and capacity building. They could function as local UN information centers and reducing UN systems complexity for people on the street. And it's also an instrument for quality assurance, because if we want to have people to trust that there is really something going on that's globally relevant, we need to really have mechanisms in place that are trusted. And we can only trust with local people engaged. Its relevance for the Sustainable Development Goals governance and open working group. We need to operationalize this global public value component, making it measurable, quantifiable, and even simplify it into simple apps on mobile phones and starting it as a game. And our Global Challenges World Cup could be a leadership initiative in this field, and also the Global Challenges Information and Communication Technology Lab in Klagenfurt in Austria could help to build the global ICT infrastructure and the knowledge base for this. The Global Challenges World Cup Urban Games, it would help to operationalize the SDGs for local governance and intercity comparison and cooperation, incentivizing public participation in local efforts for sustainable development through games, connecting it also with music competition and sports, and through this connecting local action with global goals, and activating local multi-stakeholder partnerships as public goods providers and contributors to UN goals. And again, this Global Challenges ICT Hub with these partners that have been presented, the Future ICT Project, Millennium Project, Ljubljana Forum, Wikimedia Austria, the Alpen Adria University in Klagenfurt. And also I would like to highlight that we are now entering a partnership with a Plus Social Good platform, which is a network of technology experts, social media experts under the umbrella of UN Foundation, who are partnering with us on these issues, and also a conference in June in Klagenfurt will be made as a Plus Social Good event. Our assets are our connection with the UN system, regional leadership supported by the regional government. We will have a workshop with the Central European Initiative in June, And the trademark Global Challenges World Cup is secured. Global Youth Music Contest is a proven concept, and we have EU funding potentials. And being here is also one of the reasons is that we want to partner with UN Habitat. ICLE, UNEP Vienna office is also partnering with us, and UN Global Prize would also be a first choice for future cooperation. And this is a great opportunity for social impact investors, foundations interested in sustainable cities, regional social impact investors, ICT companies within their corporate social responsibility programs, public authorities on local, sub-regional, national, and European and global level, and social impact investors that look at youth engagement and social entrepreneurship programs. And even the aspect of human rights related to ICT is very important, because it will be central for our efforts if we say that we want to be on everybody's mobile phone, that we respect human rights, and that we always somehow look how can we balance public good with privacy needs and this kind of things. There will be a conference 5th and 6th of June in Klagenfurt on sustainable development, innovation and youth, where we will develop these things further, and everybody is kindly invited. And with this I conclude, and I would say again, let's play sustainable development. And with this I give the floor to Felix. Yes, I will.
Are you going to flip me through it?
I will.
You will. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to be part of this, and it's always interesting to see different initiatives that are coming forward, and there are some other interesting ones out there. I'm reminded of the LiveCom Awards, which UNEP supports, which is a competition between cities, and it's quite an interesting and well organized thing, and might be something to link into your network, as well as the Caterva Awards, which have a Sustainable Cities initiative and have got some very impressive award winners out of that. I love the Lego. What about Lego producing as a Sustainable Cities kind of sets, which could help that young generation get immediately engaged in something which...
With recycled Lego?
I think so, yeah. Do you...
Yeah, I have a problem with the computer. It's switched off. I don't know why.
Okay.
Should be okay, yes.
The other thing is, I think we have been very bad at, to some extent, giving a positive image of what it is like to live sustainably. And I think that play and music and other ways of engaging people are a much better way of getting them to do the kinds of changes that they need in their lives if they're going to move to a more sustainable form of living. While it's coming up, I'm here representing Communitas, and Communitas is a coalition set up by UN Habitat, by ICLE, by the Tedros Institute and the Network for Regional Government for Sustainable Development. And it has a kind of operational level at the moment in its work to push for a goal that deals with urbanization. So dealing with the rural and urban linkages that Farouk Khan talked about in his presentation, or his comments in the SDG Open Working Group, I think is crucial in how we're viewing this. What we've kind of felt was that one of the very important aspects of putting together a coalition that's dealing with pushing forward on a sustainable development goal for urbanization was that it needed to have other stakeholders engaged. And to some extent in the run-up to Rio, local government tended to argue for local government's particular issues by themselves. And so the coalition that we've put together includes lots of other stakeholders: Habitat for Humanity, the HIT Coalition, World Resources Institute, the trade unions, we do. So it's a broad coalition that sees to some extent the advantages that we had in Chapter 28 of Agenda 21, which called for local government to set up local Agenda 21 processes as a mechanism to engage stakeholders. So if you could move to the next one. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's that. I found the bouncing function on on my thing, so you'll find a few bouncers in there because I really quite liked it. So as I said, the course. Yeah, let's see. So you've got a few quotes that will bounce into the conversation. Next one. So one of the reasons why we need to address some of these challenges is, of course, that the things that are going to impact on us are going to be quite drastic in the future. We know that the estimation of energy provision will be 30 to 40%. The demand will be greater than what it is now by 2030, and we know that we're going to have a similar situation with food, and we're going to have a deficit in the issue of water. These are figures from the Stockholm Environment Institute's report for the Nexus conference in 2011. And on the mega trends, again, many of you will know this, we're seeing a situation where a large number of people have, over a period of a relatively short period of time, have been moving to urban areas. And the impact that that has, as was represented in some of the quotes that bounced in front of your eyes a few moments ago, that the challenge for sustainable development will be to some extent, as the Secretary General says, won or lost in the cities. If you move to the next one. We're also aware that, you know, as we look to try and make and address issues such as climate change, that, you know, again, the challenges are in the cities, as 75% of the global energy consumption and 80% of the CO2 emissions are dealt with in the cities. So if we were to get a goal on urbanization, we have a real opportunity to do two things. One is to engage the community in moving towards a more sustainable way of living, but also to seriously address the climate change issue, and I think that's crucial. We know that there needs to be a set of data and adaptive indicators developed for cities and urbanization, and I did a lot of work in the 1990s with UK local authorities in the development of a methodological approach to how the community could develop their own set of indicators, and I'll come back to that in a second. Can you do the next slide?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was assuming it would change on the computer in front of me. Of course, that's my computer, and it didn't. So, yeah, and it goes to the next one. So, next one. In December, we held a workshop which UN DESA, UN Habitat, and the Friends of Cities co-hosted. We commissioned a set of papers to look at, in a sense, what would be the sets of targets that could underpin a goal. And to some extent, we take the Colombian approach that it's not just about creating a goal and a set of targets that might sit under one goal, but it's about mainstreaming those targets within the other goals as well. And so those 6 papers are available from the Communitas website for you to download. Next one. We approached it very much from the framework that was put forward by the Sustainable Development High-Level Panel and the Sustainable Solutions Network, which is very, I think, as an interesting framework, because during the process, at least very much at the beginning, I think people mix goals, targets and indicators up quite considerably, and I would hope that this process will not address indicators and will leave that to more of a bottom-up approach and an expert-driven approach post when the goals and targets are agreed. Next one. So the Sustainable Development Solutions Network put forward a kind of straw man. What would a goal, or what could a goal look like? And so they said, you know, it should be empower inclusive, productive and resilient cities. That was their suggestion. And I think that's not a bad place to start. It may not be where we'll end up, but it allows you to see the kind of conversation that one would have. And when they started to unpick that and look at what would that mean, it dealt with the social, the economic and the environmental components and came up with 3 particular targets. Could you put the next slide up? So when we held our workshop, we came up with also a set of targets, a much larger group of targets. And I think the process at the moment, at least in the Sustainable Development Open Working Group, is for more to be put on the table before we start to reduce that as we move forward to September 2015. So we focused on, I think, 5 areas: fundamental urban patterns, an urban life of dignity for all within planetary boundaries. And we made some suggestions of what those targets might look like. All of these, of course, on a 2030 horizon. They may not be the best, but again, this is an issue about putting stuff on the table so that we can actually have a coherent conversation about it. The next one. We looked at enabling policies. What were the kinds of things that would, help build that rural urban linkages, would deal with how to make our cities more resilient. The governance and accountability issues, some of which are more traditionally what the local government has talked about in many of these international processes. The territorial dimension of other sustainable development policies. And so, again, throughout this, we've tried to look at what the rural-urban linkages will be. And I'm going to end with a quote from Einstein, 2 quotes from Einstein's, and a very nice cartoon that Ralph Steadman, I don't know if any of you know Ralph Steadman, but he used to hang out with Dr. Hunter Thompson. And if you don't know who Dr. Hunter Thompson is, you should definitely kind of Google him. Bill Murray's played him in a film, as a number of other people. But to some extent, this quote, the first one, is about what we're talking about here. We can't solve the problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. But of course, the challenge is the second one. 2 things are infinite: the universe and human stupidity. And as Einstein said, he's not sure about the universe. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you very much, Felix. Great, as always. And now we come to the presentation of the Ljubljana Forum on the Future of Cities.
Ljubljana Forum is one of the most creative vision-building events where business, knowledge and ambitious urban projects meet.
The main purpose of Ljubljana Forum is to address and respond to the challenges that cities are facing. In this case, in 2012, we were addressing the energy efficiency and being always connected, and responses that we receive are of great significance. So it means the partners that participated, various partners, really contributed with the good solutions.
So if you look around this castle, in 25 years from now, you're going to have sensors. It's heat, temperature, moisture, biological, radiologicals, so that this whole area can be, in a sense, like a living organism. We're alive because we have sensors, and the world's alive because we have your microphone and your video, or sensors, right, for the planet. We'll make our physical environment more intelligent, more alive, so we can monitor what's going on in cities on a regular basis, which is not controlled just by the mayor's office, but by individuals as well. For example, if I see that there's some pollution going on, I can notify. That goes into a collective intelligence system for the mayor's office, so every individual in the whole city can help participate in making the city work.
If you could imagine that not only people, but also intelligent things could be the one always online, talking to you, discussing with you, being around you, supporting you, whatever you do, and so on. So you have this intelligent surrounding, and you actually, let's say, set a scenario that will help you save energy, save money, supporting you when you have disabilities, making decisions. Let's say, whatever you want to go this morning, you should take this bus, you should take the other. type of transport. You should dress very well because I think that the weather will be like this day, and so on. So there is plenty of things that goes around, and everything goes into the idea of being a kind of a relation between the city and the citizens in a symbiotic relation. So the city helps the citizens, and citizens help the city.
Intelligent cities that function as a living organism, are always connected, always online, are the future. To develop them, we need more than just technological solutions.
The major thing for the smart cities today is to really invest in talent. I mean, there is obviously investment in overall infrastructure to have intelligent city, but then, to make sure that you are able to attract and keep your own, talent in education, in lifelong learning, because the cities will mainly compete through the ability to unlock human potential.
Combining the capacities of new technological intelligence and various segments of human intelligence is the key. In order to integrate all that, we need new management solutions. Such a solution is a trans-institution that brings together various institutions for the best possible decision.
Today, the complexity is beyond the ability to describe it. The amount of information is beyond anybody's understanding. As a result, we're not making decisions based upon the best information. We're making decisions based on the best we can get, but not the best that's available. Now, people in universities have a certain way of knowing. People in business have a certain way of knowing. People in NGOs have a certain way. People in international organizations have a certain way. So if you had a trans institution, then you're much more intelligent and you're much more precise. And mayors' offices can do the same thing, because right now they're a hierarchy. That's the oldest form of management there is. We know a lot about management. We have to integrate that in. Trans institution is one of the categories for doing that. So we can't have old management systems because it's just too complex. So you distribute information and decision-making systems through the populace. So we, the people, will help manage the city. The mayor will still be the orchestra leader.
In order for the citizens to be able to participate in decision-making processes, we need the appropriate tools. We need electronic democracy.
Electronic democracy should become an important part of planning for smart cities and for sustainable future, as it enables participation of citizens and the civil society in planning not only development strategies, but also concrete projects which are influencing their quality of life. I think in this regard, urban areas and city municipalities should open the decision-making processes in terms of to enable more the interested public to come with their experience proposals in order to create as much as possible consensus in order to implement projects which will at the end improve the quality of life of the citizens of urban cities.
E-democracy tools, however, cannot be efficient if the citizens don't use them.
It's not only important to develop the proper tools, like different online consultation tools or crowdsourcing or social media applications, but also to develop the culture of participation and culture of involving all the citizens into the decision-making processes. This also means that the citizens have to be equipped and also have to have knowledge and skills how to participate as equal partners into the decision-making systems.
To show you some of the expertise that we have in our organization and network. Jerry Glenn, he was the first president of our organization IAAI, and he's now the chair of the advisory board, and Blaž Golob, the co-chair of the Ljubljana Forum on the Future of Cities. He is the vice chair of our organization, and let's see whether we can connect now with Jerry or Blaž. Yes, let's start with Jerry. He is in a hurry.
Welcome to dinner. Lunch.
Yeah, to lunch.
Get off on a sandwich.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for being with us. We have heard now of some of your visions for the future. What would you say that the UN system needs to do with regard to cities and collective intelligence in the context of sustainable development goals?
Okay, I just want to have a reality check here. I'm seeing you also on the WebTV, but there seems to be a time delay. As long as, can you wave your hand like this, that the sequence is working properly for you?
I'm waving now. Can you see?
Yes. Well, that's interesting. It's several minutes out of this.
We
Anyways,
hear you well. You just
okay.
go on.
Okay, because
It
I
has
cut
to
your
go
audio
through
off.
NSA first.
Your tax dollars at work. Okay, the first thing I would ask everybody to consider is the idea of having some country or coalition of countries enter a UN General Assembly resolution that would call for the United States and China to create a 10-year goal on the climate with sort of like a land a man on the moon sort of massive, serious but precise goal, with a NASA-like R&D program to implement it, to achieve it. There has been an agreement signed between China and the United States to do something like this, but there's nothing in it. There's no pressure on the United States and China to do this. The reason I say those two, because one, they're the two biggest economies, and two, they're the biggest polluters. Sometimes, as we know, when we have so many people in the kitchen, the food doesn't come out right. So I think if we start with just the United States and China first, get that nailed down. What's the goal? Start the program. Then let the European Union, let Japan, let everybody else, India come in, but start focused on just those two. Any country acting alone could initiate such a resolution. We have 3 minutes altogether. I just think I've finished my 3 minutes. All right, then the last thing would be you can go to VMP, as in THEMP, as an MP is Millennium Project, but THEMP.org. You can go on your mobile phone as well and get a simple user interface, and you will find a collective intelligence there for the future of the world. It has 15 global challenges, everything from sustainable development to organized crime, water, energy, food, ethics, decision-making systems, ICT, and so forth. And if you browse through there, you'll get a working method for how you bring together extremely complex information, but in useful ways that you can participate. So each person participates in a different way of doing it. Those are my 3 minutes. Happy future.
Happy future to you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's connect briefly also with Blaž. He is a wonderful cooperation partner, and also Ljubljana is somehow, we are going to partner with Ljubljana for a pilot of the competition. Hello, Blaž.
Hello, Miro. How are you doing?
Good to see you. So we have heard about Ljubljana Forum on the future of cities, and congratulations, you're doing a great job in cooperation with the city. So would you like to share with us some ideas about future plans?
Okay, so would you like now, Miro?
Yes, you have 2 minutes.
Good. So first of all, hello to everyone. Warm welcome from Central Southeast Europe to New York. Let me say that we really focus on development of the new dimension of the city of the future, which is a combination of various concepts. First, from industry part, like Smart City initiative of IBM, then second, and other big ICT companies, then European Union dimension, and with the foresight methodology, we identify and try to bring about the model of the city of the future. So far we organized 3 forums very successfully. and the next one will be in September, and our plan is now to bring about this initiative of building smart city that will identify European specialties on board. So a crucial challenge that we face is actually connection and governance between cities, city authorities and state level authorities. So once we really try to bring about this challenge, and we see we are doing there many progresses in this respect, we will be able to cope with many challenges that are facing citizens today. So we believe that cities are taking important role, are more and more becoming actors in international arena and enablers of prosperity. So in this respect, I would say cities are much older than the states, and it will remain still in the future when some of the states or countries will change.
May I ask you also to mention briefly your experience with pageants, because it's also, yes, as we are saying, SDGs need to be on everybody's mobile devices, so your expertise there could help as well.
Exactly. So the pageants is a European research project that was handling with how to identify electorates' needs throughout social media tools. So actually we faced we tried to challenge, to navigate the members of the European Parliament communication with their electorates with a bottom-up approach of identifying special needs of the people and what are the channels to moderate policy making process. So this project was successful in this respect, that we provide a new tool and enable better participation.
Thank you very much, Blaž. Looking forward to cooperate in future.
Thank you, Miro, and all the best to everybody to New York.
Thank you very much. So this was to present to you our cooperation partners who could not be with us today. It's also Wikimedia Austria is one of our partners that we are planning to work with, but Mr. Heinz Egger couldn't be with us due to several reasons. But we are happy to have with us Ravi Karkara, who has hundreds of functions, but as I said, UN Habitat and UN Millennium Campaign are the most important ones. Please share with us some insights from your experience. Yes.
Thank you very much, and it's always great to be speaking at this forum. So I don't know if I have 100 of functions, but I feel I have lots of accountabilities to deliver on. And I think one biggest accountability is really to ensure that voices of the most marginalized groups, such as children and young people, and within that the most marginalized groups of youth with disabilities, etc., are really represented. I'm going to talk about two specific examples of ICT and youth. First with UN Habitat, which, as you know, and my colleague here has already talked about extensively about urbanization. And we know that from the urbanization perspective that youth constitute a huge majority of that population. And UN Habitat, since Habitat 1 in the 70s and Habitat 2, has been very much forwarding the youth agenda. And I'm very happy to say that the UN Habitat's youth program are 15 years old, and one of our biggest supporters have been the government of Norway, who've been really giving fund for this particular piece of intervention, which is called the Urban Youth Fund. And Urban Youth Fund had done two very innovative, it's done many of them, but I want to talk about two innovative examples of ICT and youth and urbanization. The first is, I think, world-renowned, is the MAP Kabira, which is, Kabira is the biggest slum in Nairobi. And what it did was it really gave young people the tools, the digital tools to go out there and map their communities. And they mapped Kabira and produced the first digital map of the, and you can see it on the website. And for the first time, you could make out that where are these spaces in the slum which have water shortage, or places where there are no drainage facilities or the dump areas, and where young people for the first time could really say that this is where we need water facilities, this is where we need things to improve, this is where the water clogging is happening, what are safe spaces and unsafe spaces. But what came out of this is something which is very fundamental. It really got young people in Map Kabira and other places we work to come together and look at, for example, in this place called the Urban Gardens, they looked at the dumping area within the slum community. So young people mobilized each other through the voluntary action, converted this dumping heaps or mountains of dumps into what they were calling the urban gardens. So they used and recycled material, composting and others to create these what they call kitchen gardens in urban slums. And the produce of the kitchen gardens were then being used for providing supplies to the local kindergarten. So you have these examples of young people not only doing mapping, but using the mapping as a tool to really recycle material, and also use that for creating a youth entrepreneurship initiative. And I'll give you an example where this particular community not only converted this into urban gardens, and the local mafia, the land mafia, got attention to this particular thing, that what have young people done to this, and then they wanted to claim this new created landfill into urban kitchen garden. And the young people went up to the member of Legislative Assembly and fought their way through and claimed that area to become the youth center. And that really has inspired many more initiatives such as this. Another one I would like to give an example is really, I thought I have 10 minutes, I just started speaking, okay. So the other example is in Egypt, where young women have gone out there and have done something called the Harass Map. That's also on the website, where you can actually, young women could go and use both digital technology to do a mapping of what are safe spaces and unsafe spaces, especially after this huge protest which took place in Cairo. Not only that, they were able to create one-to-one connection with the young women's community and others to say that how do we create a Cairo to be a more safer city for young women and women per se. So that's another very interesting map example of that digital technology is not only limited to young men using technology, but also young women using innovation to fight gender-based violence. So in my last 2 or 3 minutes I want to show you another example of the UN's biggest. Can you do data? You have it somewhere, data dot.
Oh, yes, it was already there.
So I want to show you, I'm sure many of you have heard about the My World survey, which is the People survey coming out of Ban Ki-moon's office. And of course, it's very much in line of what you talked about, citizens' voice, people's voices in decision making. So up till now, we've had about, if I look at the overall total, we have about, 1.3 million people have taken on this survey, and out of that we have a combination of people who've taken the survey through websites, about 400,000, and people who have taken the survey as a ballot, as offline, which is about half of that, which is around 600,000. And if we look at people using SMS technology, mobile phones, we have about 300,000. So we have a combination of people using website, mobile technology, and also using offline ballots. But the most crucial thing here is that to find out that out of this number, how many of young people, because that's the focus of the side event, how many young people have really engaged with the My World survey? So for the first time in real-time data, we can find out at this moment that how many young people in the age group of, say, 16 to 30 look at the priorities, and very interestingly, you see that within that education, healthcare, better jobs, honest, responsive government, protection against crime and violence, access to clean water and sanitation, affordable, nutritious food, ending discrimination, promoting gender equality, protecting forests, which are so all these areas related to climate change issues are very much priorities of young people worldwide. But then you can also play with this, because the whole idea of gamification is that you take a tool, do it open source, and give it to people out there so that they can use it in their advocacy and in their analysis. So let's look at, say, what what do young women think of as their priorities? So you can look at from a gender perspective, but you can also look at from a country perspective. And I think one of the countries which is represented here is, like, let's look at Indonesia. I'm from India, but let's look at Indonesia. About 20,000 people, sorry, not, I think the number of people who have taken is higher.
All age groups.
About 27,000 people have taken vote in Indonesia. And out of that, which is interesting, Natasha, to you to notice, 20,000 of them are young people in the age group of 16 to 30. Clearly, I mean, this number can go higher. And here, I still have another.
Have to conclude.
Yeah, you can just what we want. What we want, but what we want. So in terms of ICT and taking it to young people, I think we really have to go back to this gamification idea that how do we use Harass Map or Map Kabira or myworlddata.org or World We Want, where we can really take this information not just as a as a research piece, but something which people can use, and especially young people. What I wanted to show you was this infographics which is coming in World We Want. If we can go to press this. Or,
it's downloading it.
Oh, it's downloading. So, I mean, what we're trying to do in the UN system, especially UN Millennium Campaign, is produce data, but also present it in a way that it becomes people-friendly. And this is a good example of the current open working group where we bring out, if you go and scroll down, we bring out the
the computer.
So we see that what are the areas that are related to this particular discussion, especially on climate change. We have issues of renewable energy, better transport and roads. We have access to clean and water sanitation. We have issues of, where is forest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
But we have to finish.
Yeah.
No? Thank you.
So that's it. I mean, I would just like to conclude that no matter what we do with ICT, if it's not relevant and usable, then it's totally useless to work with young people. It has to become people and young people friendly. Thank you, Milo.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ravi. We are honored and happy to have you with us. Thank you. And with this, we come to Januar Nugroho. Please, the floor is yours. And we are happy to have a representative of a president's office here.
Well, I just have problem why it doesn't come up here. Should be there.
Yes, it's coming.
Good. Is it coming now?
Not really.
Not really. I will use this one. Right? Display.
You should FN and F5.
Yeah. Okay, I will list this. Okay, right? F5. Hopefully this. Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Well, I only have 5 minutes, so I will be very quick. Basically, I'm from the President's Office, from the Delivery Unit of Development Monitoring and Oversight, but I also part of the University of Manchester in the UK. I work with Foresight for over the past few years. So I would like to link between these two, Foresight and sustainable cities from the perspective of development policy. Of course, I think all of us, we know this already, why sustainable cities are important. These are the data. I will not read. You can read yourself. What I would like to focus on the last 3 points here. It's quite fortunate that I joined the Indonesian team as co-chair for the high-level panel, which was co-chaired by Indonesia, UK, and Liberia. In the HLP, in the high-level panel, cities did not come as goal. In UN SDSN, it came out as one of the illustrative goals, saying inclusive, productive, and resilient cities. But for the high-level panel, it did not appear as illustrative goals. Instead, it is cross-cutting issues, just like youth. Now, we have open working group at the moment. We have stock taking now. And as I quote from the website, it is securing dedicated goal on sustainable cities. I think this is now our homework now. If we are to take up this as goal, what kind of goal? How we do it? Maybe it's not our task here to answer this question, but I just would like you to focus on this issue. Because I think, although we have different phases, I think we have common problem about cities. This is what we conceptualize, what we understand about cities in post-2015. Urban problems, I think, reflect the complexity of the world problems in post-2015 world. Poverty and inequality in a deteriorating environment. If you go to any big cities in developing countries, this is what you will see. Why foresight? Well, I will not give you any lecture about foresight, but apart from various claims, foresight is about anticipation, care and provision for the future. It is to prevent sleepwalking into unwanted situations, because foresight is about shaping the future, not predicting, not forecasting, but shaping in a participatory way. I published some papers. What I present to you is using some formal methods in foresight to map trends. This is what we did for European Commission when I was still in Manchester last year, mapping trends from 2008 to 2025. Sorry, after 2025 actually, not 2015. So we are looking at the trends, and as we can see here, sustainable development, environmental sustainability, these are the trends. We can also use a foresight approach to identify drivers for change. You can download, I can give you the full papers of this. It's published in Foresight and Technological Forecasting and Social Change. We can also look for weak signals, meaning area in which we need to be more alert, more aware that things might be changing, giving us signals for the change in the future, but also wildcards, things that have very low possibility to happen, but if that happens, then the impact would be very structural. So again, why foresighting? I think because, again, we can map trends from events, we can understand and identify drivers for change, capturing weak signals, and in order to do this, we can use or we can take benefit from the crowd intelligence. This is where ICT can come up.
Yes.
In Indonesia, just the case, even for development monitoring, every citizen can participate. So in Ljubljana Forum, you said what intelligent cities in Indonesia. Well, we use SMS, we use Twitter. This is the government project. Projects are pictured, recorded with GPS capabilities, geotagging, being tagged with geotagging, sent to the president office. So real time, the government can monitor actual development.
Excellent.
Real time.
Excellent.
One case. Second case, post-disaster development. In Aceh, back in 2004, Boxing Day, the tsunami hit Aceh very badly. They have to rebuild the city. How did they do the planning? Bottom-up planning, participatory planning. They didn't know foresight. Until now, they don't know foresight. But we can use the approach. Having participatory planning, you can see from the picture, people sitting together. Now they have the planning, you see the signature, meaning everyone agrees. This is how they shape their future after disaster.
That's perfect.
Not top-down planning from the government, but you involve people, sit down with them. Of course, you have to spend money, you have to spend time. But what you have is participatory planning, which they all agreed. Last one, complaint handling. You can see it from the date. Bridge, which collapsed, 18 September, they sent to the government through the complaint handling mechanism. 31st December 2012, it was rebuilt completely. So, if I sum up 3 points, widening citizens' participation. It is not just click activism. You think you change the world by tweeting, or you think you change the world by forwarding email. No, you can do more than that. And then collectively creating safer environment in urban areas, and then pushing for clean, transparent, accountable, effective bureaucracy. These 3 things, I think, to make this reality. So what's next? Well, in the UN, we talk about how far post-2015 should address sustainable cities. This is our homework. How can you push this? But also, for sustainable cities, I would suggest like national level foresight for national policy planning, but also city level involving people using ICT. I will stop here.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Januar. You have brought us really into real life action, and kind regards to your president, and thank him that he has sent you to our event. And with this we come to Christina, and an award-winning author and filmmaker and recipient of the Gold Lion at the Venice Film Festival. And Christina will speak about how storytelling can impact social change. We need the global stories.
Yes, we do. We do. I mean, stories, and I love to tell stories, but there's no time today here for me to do that, which is going to be really hard. So if one starts to like creep out of my mouth, just like stop me. But the power of the narrative to create meaningful and sustainable change, I mean, it has its roots back in our early cultures, especially Indonesia, my goodness, so diverse, right? And so that's how the message has always gotten through, and it was always in myths and legends and stories. So how do we not think that we're not going to move into the future with stories still? Because that's what, especially that's what the youth fall into. And, you know, I mean, songs are stories, games are stories. That's what they are. So, and if we're looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, I mean, we've got to start making them fashionable. You know, we've got to inspire, we've got to illuminate, we've got to engage, and we've got to motivate. And I just feel that the best thing that we can do is tell stories, because all of this science is rather useless without us relating to, Ravi said this yourself, you know, without us relating to it and having it be a part of us. And the mind is changed by the heart, because the heart is the most powerful organ in the body. And where does the heart speak? It speaks in music, it speaks in art, it speaks in creativity. Every city has a story, every country has a story, every elephant has a story. I mean, I don't know if you've seen on HBO, there was just recently a wonderful documentary, An Apology to the Elephants. And you realize that every elephant has a story. I mean, and every tiger has a story. So every person has a story. We all have, every corporation has a story. Every nation has a story. Every NGO here has a story to tell. But you've got to dig deep. I mean, because there's the superficial stories, and then there are the stories that are going to move people. And the key thing is to find your core audience. And the core audience is not always the mass audience, but as we're speaking here, the core audience is the youth. And it's often the disenfranchised. And those, because they care. And if we can tell the stories to them, pull the stories from them, engage them, empower them, they'll start to spread the stories. They'll take those stories along. And, you know, I mean, and that's how movement begins. That's how, and I believe that's what we need to do with these Sustainable Development Goals, because I don't know what they are. I mean, and so we've got to get real clarity around this, because the minute you get clarity around something and your heart gets engaged, then the stories just naturally come. People walk up to you and they want to tell you their stories. So I want to put out this call right now. I have been invited to make a film on the Sustainable Development Goals. Goodness knows how I'm going to do this. So I'm asking for stories, because I'm not going to make a bad film that is not going to that is just not going to motivate and move and empower people. So I have one last thing to say is, when you know what changes a heart, you know what can change the world.
Bravo, Christina. Inspiring as always. We are very happy to have you with us, because you really have a specific knowledge and view on these issues that help it bring to the broader public by partnering with media. And that's very important for the SDGs, because we really need to conquer the hearts and minds of 7 billion global citizens to succeed with the SDGs. Otherwise, it will not be possible. And with this, I open the floor for discussions. Richard, please.
Thank you very much. Richard Jordan, representing the Royal Academy of Science International Trust, and also speaking as chairman of the NGO Committee on the UN and Sports. Thanks to all the presenters. What we have in terms of stadiums, whether it's U.S. football, FIFA World Cup, Olympics, you have large message boards. You have large audiences in person. You have large audiences on TV. You have people tweeting. You have people doing everything you can imagine to get messages out at these events about things. I did not see a one cheese head last night in the Green Bay San Francisco game wearing SDG cheese hat. When I do, I will know that we have done our job. That's what I would like to see, is more proactive relationship with large sporting events. Sir Alex Ferguson, if Sir Alex Ferguson said, I endorse the SDGs, people would go, huh? What? What are the SDGs? Right, am I right, Felix? I mean, if Alex... yes, but Alex Ferguson still has... Yeah, I realize he retired. But, but let's face it, Alex has the audience. So that would be my suggestion. Let's get those people involved. Thank you very much. And get the messages out on large stadium boards.
We'll just fund you to go round the stadium. I think I'm game for it.
SDG, Sam, Dave, Steve, and Sally, or whatever.
Thank you very much, Richard, for this constructive contribution.
I volunteer to make your hat.
I can get you to the Mets game, the next Mets game.
I will wear it here.
Okay. Lisinka, would you like to add something? The conference cluster is very much similar to what we are doing.
Oh, I just want to say how much I'm enjoying it and seeing how many projects you're really involving the people to actually do the things, and that's really where the energy is. The people, once they are doing the things that they need to do for themselves and love to do, are going to bring about the change, and they're going to be sustainable because they're stewarding the resources that they need for themselves. And so it's been really interesting, each one of you speakers, to listen to you, and thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Could I just, I mean, I think that the suggestion of using the foresight approach is a kind of a building on what we've done with Local Agenda 21, I think will be an excellent underpinning to actually enable us to move forward.
Thank you. Ask Ravi and all the others to make.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with the government of Indonesia's example. I think this is exactly what we need. We just need, I mean, I always come back to my beginning and end, is that we need to strengthen accountability, which is led by people's groups, and that's what needs to happen. And a real partnership with people's organizations and accountable governments such as yours can really create that transformative change. And I think youth are in the center of that, and we have to have them really take on that leadership.
Exactly. Thank you. Ravi?
Thank you, Miro. I think, just to continue, Ravi, I think at the heart of development is the participation from the public.
Yes.
I think foresight can provide a platform in which development policy can be truly participatory. So if we focus on this, I think it's a good way, maybe perhaps the best way, to have people engage in the development, not as object, but as a subject of the development.
Yes. And making also maximum use of available ICTs, as information and communication technology.
Yes, thank you.
Well, you're going to give me a story, aren't you? I know. On foresight. I mean, why not? Well, it's there.
Yeah,
yes. We just have to dig for it. Yeah. Clarity. That's all I'm asking for, is to get some clarity on, so that we all move forward with the same script. We're all on the same page.
Yes. Thank you very much. And I would conclude with a statement that you can count on us, you can count on this Global Action Network to play a role in the future, and let's play Sustainable Development Goals. So with this I conclude.